Welcome back to the channel, y'all. We got something different we're going to be working on. This is a Wilton 8400 bench vise. I've been looking for a Wilton bullet vise for a number of years now, and when they come up for sale, they're always $300 and $400 and $500, and it just seemed ridiculous. But I found that old chair on Marketplace for $20. And when I was there picking it up, the guy was like, "Oh, you got to check all this stuff out." And this is one of the things that he offered me. And so for 50 bucks, I figured I would take that home. There's the part number there. Actually, that might be a 9400. Anyway, but yeah, made in Chicago. Bullet vise. Appears to be in mechanically pretty good shape. It's not frozen up or anything. The base swivels, all that good stuff. So we're going to take this thing apart, clean it up, probably repaint it, grease it, and put it into service. So to start, this is the vise that I've been using for years. But make a long story short, this vise belonged to my grandfather. It was in his shop at the first house that I remember them living at. It was in his shop at the last house that they were in. And I have used this vise in some form or another since I was probably 10. I used to just clamp pieces of wood in it, and I would cut them actually with that saw, which was his, and then I'd drill random holes in it with these bits and bit brace that were also his. It's a great vise. It's never let me down, but every time that I really need to crank down on something, I'm worried I'm gonna break it. I'm worried I'm going to, snap the jack screw, or one of the jaws is gonna crack off or something. As you can see, it's very well worn, very well used. So I've been looking for something that I can use as a work vise, and then keep this one for sentimental reasons. And the gentleman that I got that chair from had a small collection of Wilton vises under a workbench, and actually a couple that were really nice, like all original condition. And I saw them, and I said something about them. I was like, "Man, I've been looking for one of those for ages." And he goes, "Well, I'll sell you one. I don't know why I need 4 of these vises." And he sold me this for 50 bucks, which is a killer. It's, like I said, especially for a swivel base. Most of these that you see are not swivel bases. So we are going to disassemble this thing, clean it up, grease it, make it look, at least presentable, and use it. So let's get started. There probably won't be a whole lot of talking in this video, but yeah, let's get into it. So luckily it's not like seized or anything, which is very good. So here's the date I was talking about earlier. 12/31/59, probably a little hard to see there. But yeah, that's guarantee expires 12/31/59. I don't know if these had 1-year or 5-year warranties. I looked it up and I forgot. So set that off to the side. Now, I just gotta take this off of the swivel part. Which, it's gonna take a hot minute here. I have to turn at a time. I think you can actually buy these new. I think you can buy these new. I'm gonna just see if I can clean them up a little bit. There's part of the swivel assembly from underneath. And this should just lift off. Yep, look at that. Some of the pictures I've seen of the later vises actually had like teeth around here to hold it in position. I guess the earlier ones were just smooth. Deal with all these bolts in a bit. All right. that there. Now there's three, a little hard to see, 3 Phillips screws here that I'm going to remove that look quite rusted. See if we can get this jack screw or lead screw out. Oh, wow, that turned easy. Cool. That one in the back actually looks the best of the bunch. Oh, it looks the best, but it's the most stuck. Let's put an impact on that before we strip it out. There's a very good chance that this breaks, but well, nope. Here we go, came right out. That should just slide up. Yep. So there's like it's like a thrust plate. We'll clean this up and make sure we grease it well. And there's the lead screw. Man, that's beefy. Cool. Take the jaws out. Since we're here, let's see if we can get the jaws free. That worked way better than I thought it would. And actually, I don't know if you can tell, these jaws are in really good shape. And there's some, it's been hit pretty hard in the corner there, but most of them are just fine. So, let's turn it around this way. So there is a center, I know you can't see from this angle, there is a center pin in there. It's already starting to move.
There we go.
And we're out. Very cool. Now, let's see if we can do the same thing for the body of the vise. Alright, may have to get a little more serious with this. Let's see how this does. You know, I've never had a lot of luck with these impact screwdrivers. They always just frustrate me. So we're going to skip that part. We'll just bring out Bertha. There we go. More. Hopefully have the same luck. Yep. There we go. Try and get that jaw out.
Look how easy that's moving. No penetrating oil, no nothing.
At the risk of sounding like a boomer, stuff like this is just not, like, it's just not made anymore. Like, man, okay. We are just about done with the body. Next thing I have to do is knock out this cap, which I'll just take maybe this will work. Alright, we're gonna add some. It's starting to move. Use a real hammer. There we go. Oh, whoops. I sort of mushroomed that a little bit. Damn it. I'll try and fix that. That was predictable, huh? Okay, now allegedly there are some pins. Yeah, there's one. It's hard to see. Here, let me take it, give you a better look. Right here. That pin will have to come out to get this nut and everything to come off. But before we do that, I'm gonna start wire wheeling on the other side and just make sure that there's not a pin on the other side too. Because it looks like on most of these vices there are 2 pins. But I don't see evidence of one. So let's start looking. Not gonna be able to see from that angle. There is certainly a pin there. So we need to get that out. Took a couple hits without having the camera on.
Definitely trying to move.
Let's try the other one. This one's moving a lot easier. Looks like it's knurled.
We're getting there.
There were a couple of videos I watched that said don't try and punch it all the way through because there's not enough room inside the body to allow it to fall out. So I'm going about halfway. That's about halfway. Let's try the other one now. Yeah, honey.
Can you come upstairs for a second?
Yeah, I'll be right there. All right, we'll give this one a few taps and see if we can move it too. There we go. That really, like, there was one tap and it really kind of gave way.
Yeah.
All right, both of those are out, which should allow the nut to come off. But I think I'm gonna have to get something to punch that with. I'm just gonna try the handle with my hammer.
There we go, it's moving.
Well, good thing it's like, you know, cast iron. So, let's get those pins out the rest of the way. I guess I'm gonna have to use one to drive the other out, sort of deal. I don't know, let's give it a shot.
One.
And that pin is knurled. Come on, focus. It's not gonna focus, but yeah, there we go. Pin's knurled. We got that one out. And now I guess we gotta drive this one. Oh. Okay. We'll drive this one back through this way. I think that's the way I kind of wanted to come out. Oh, that one just fell out. All right, cool. Another knurled pin. I guess that's it. Like, so there it is, all disassembled, which was surprisingly easy. The only thing I haven't taken apart, well, I mean, besides the bolts, that I'm not going to take apart, I don't think, is the handle here. Keith Rucker of VintageMachinery.org. Actually, I did a podcast with him years ago. It was a lot of fun. He's got a great shop and a great channel. You got to check him out. He actually took the jack handle or the Vise handle here off because one of these balls is just pressed on, I think. But anyway, I can't see a parting line or anything. And obviously, unfortunately, that is the worst looking part of the whole vise, is that handle. It would have been polished. But I'm just going to wire wheel it and deal with it, I guess. And after all, this is something that I intend to use, not show off. Yeah, so there it is. Next step is to just clean and wire wheel. I'll may video some of that, but probably not all of it, because it's going to be pretty boring. All right, so we're back after about 2 hours of wire wheeling and cleaning. Obviously it's not perfect, but self-etching primer and a good wipe down before I start spraying, it'll be fine. It does slide like real nice and smooth now. And there's no oil or grease or anything on this right now either. That's just metal and metal. So that slides great. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sort of dry assemble this together. Actually, I'm gonna put the rear cap and the nut and everything back in. I'm going to assemble this part except for the jaws, and then I'm going to mask off the areas that I don't want paint, being the anvil here and where the jaws sit, and that's basically it. And over here I'm going to mask off this area of this jaw, and then again where the jaws sit in there, and then we'll spray this one. Actually, I need to do a little more cleaning in there. Yeah, and then we'll prime it tonight. It'll sit overnight, and then in the morning we'll put a finish coat on it. All right, let's get this assembled back together here. This is the tube nut. It's going to go in there, and where's the bottom? There's a mark here on the bottom, and this will just go in. Like so. Actually, you know what?
This is a snug fit. I think my holes just about perfectly lined up. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if you could hear that sound change, but seated now. So, only concern is these, I was going to say those pins are potentially going to be a little loose, but I think they're actually going to be fine. So let's put that in there.
There we go. Took a minute to make it move.
Let's try and start the other one. Alright, get the other one started.
Cool. So they're both started, and honestly, the only way they're going to go any farther is to go into the tube nut. Alright, that was good. On to go. Yeah, the nut's in there. So now, where's the light? There we go. Gotta get these to go home. Suboptimal, actually.
More than a little suboptimal. That pin sort of mushroomed out instead of really going home. That one did. That is less than ideal. It is 98% of the way in there. This one again. Oh, the tube nut is going back and forth, that's why. Okay. Well, that's certainly in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a file across these just to smooth them out good. Well, the main body of the vise is all back together now. I went ahead and tapped that dust cover in. I just sort of ran a file over those two pins and smoothed them down a little bit. Let's see. These are the the nuts that go in here to lock the base on the swivel. They're pretty corroded. As you can see, they've got a lot of pitting and stuff on them. But I think they're going to work fine. But I may buy these because they are available. The jaws actually came out looking really great. That was the old top of the jaw. So I'm actually going to put it in with this facing up instead of that. Same thing on the other one. Yeah, pretty happy with that. The swivel base here, I didn't really clean up the inside because nothing happens on the inside. It's just this surface here. And then wire wheeled that. Get that all wiped down. Here's, I'm going to call that the locking plate. Again, I didn't go too crazy because it's, you know, a Vise. But yeah. Got our Field Expedient paint booth set up here. And hit up some self-etching primer. And couldn't find the color I wanted, so I had to order it. It'll be a couple of days before it shows up. So we'll pick back up at a later point. But yeah, let's see how we do. So we're back. Actually, the color of this primer is not too far off from what it's going to be. It's actually going to be this sort of greenish blue using Duplicolor Engineered Enamel. It's DE 1618 Detroit Diesel. Because these were already sort of like a hospital green originally. And like I said, the primer is really not too far off from the color. But let's see how this does. Well, we got it painted. I may come back after a bit and, you know, outline those letters, or I might not, because there's not a flat spot. They come to like a sharp point, and I'm not sure I can make it look good. So let's reassemble this thing. The base, I know it's a little hard to see. The mounting ears are not actually like 90 degrees apart. They're a little bit wider in here and a little bit narrow in the back. So I guess this is going to be the front and that'll be the back. So let's take our two carriage bolts here, drop those in, and then that goes under there like so. The body of the Vise, move that in the frame a little more. And we'll take the body of the Vise and just set it down. And that, dude, that looks so good. That looks so cool. All right, take our masking paper out. And now, I do want to put some grease in there. Where did my grease go? Here it is. And I'm sure whatever grease you have laying around is going to be just fine. But I have some of this Polaris U-joint grease. It's actually really nasty. But it is high moly grease, which is good for things that take a lot of pressure. So we'll put some grease in there. And same thing on the other one, just so those screws go a little bit smoother.
A little more irritating to get started. Now for this one.
Got those locked down. Oh, jeez. Pivot pin. I knew I was going to forget that.
I knew it.
And this I'll put some grease on also. I'm actually just going to take the excess off of there. Coat this pin pretty good. It looks like it may need some on there too. I'm not going to grease the outer ring because that's what actually, you know, like it uses for clamping. So, well, I mean, you don't want to try and grease a surface that is intended to be, you know, stationary.
Round two. Well, at least I remembered. Not that it's particularly difficult to take apart, but, you know, it would kind of suck to get more or less completely done. And then, oops, hang on.
You know, honestly, for as often as I use this, I thought about not even putting these handles in here and just using a socket, like a deep well socket over that hex. But, well, we'll leave them in there. Okay. Next thing is going to be the movable jaw. I'm going to put a little bit of grease just on here. I'm not going to grease the tube. I don't think it needs it. But this rail, I think, does. So I'm not going to use the Molly grease there, though. Let me just grab some regular wheel bearing grease. And the reason I'm not greasing the body here is because that's going to be exposed when the vise is open and facing up. And frankly, I don't want grease all over that and sticking to the part that's sliding in and out of the vise, because that seems like it would wear it out. Okay, that's done. Flip it around and well, I was all prepared to say like a glove. That tube nut just great. What's going on there? I think the tube nut, yeah, the tube nut is not kind of pointed down. So let me see if I can, it's only held in by those two pins in the back, and then I think it just needs a little, ow. You know, it occurs to me now that I should have dry assembled this before I painted it. That's really, did I do that out of order? No, you can't do it out of order. What is going on? I was so confident this was going to be so easy. What happened? I think that needs to come up a little bit. go. That may just need a little persuasion. Yeah. That's all. That I looked at that tube nut and it did not have a clear top and bottom. And I may have frankly just guessed wrong. I don't know. Alright, well I feel that there. So I'll just use the vise to close itself up after I grease the crap out of these splines. Because the splines are where most of the pressure bearing is. Actually, all the pressure bearing. Come on out of there, you stupid brush. And I cannot get the brush out. That's fine. There we go. This grease is pretty nasty stuff, honestly. I really don't like a vise that you have to force open. So I'm gonna assemble it. I'm gonna run it back and forth a few times. And if it does not work to satisfaction and it's not smooth, then I will take it apart and do it again. Because something is definitely not super legit with that tube nut in there. Cool. Look at me wiping down a vise. How stupid is that? Okay. I shouldn't have put that away quite yet. I'm going to put a little bit of grease here where it's apparent that it slides and turns. And we'll just drop that in there. That's gonna be fine. It'll loosen up as, yeah, it's already loosened. It's already loosening up. Put the jaws in.
Should have done this before I put them together, but I was in a hurry and I was a little excited, so oh well. Let's see if I can get that.
Let's not do that.
Could have replaced these with socket cap screws. A lot of people seem to, but I don't have. Those look like 3/8. I don't have any 3/8 socket cap screws laying around, and the screws seem to be fine. So just get in there with a 90-degree screwdriver. Give that extra little bit of oomph. They're really gonna come out, but
I mean, that's. I may be taking this thing apart. Damn it. Or I might just get used to it. That's fine. I think it's fine. Cool. Calling that done. Okay, gents. If you can't film your screw-ups, at least admit to them. Hopefully it'll help the next person. This tube nut is apparently directional, at least on my vise. There's a number on mine, it was 7400, and I put it in with 7400 facing up. That caused a lot of drag when I was trying to get the jaw in and out. I pulled everything back apart. I'm gonna have to repaint it now. flipped it over, put the numbers on the bottom, and now everything lines up way, way better than it did. So your mileage may vary. Don't do what I did. Dry assemble your vise first, and then hopefully you can avoid grinding on a nice, fresh new paint job. So now you can see how much easier these jaws slide in and out. I should have never put it together with it being so hard, but yeah, much better. There we go. Job done. Got it mounted, opens nice and smooth, closes nice and smooth now. That works like it should. Got 2 lag bolts. These are 4-inch lag bolts going down into this 2x, and then a couple of carriage bolts on the back. I think my next project is probably going to be to rebuild this bench, maybe in metal, I don't know, but for now, this will work just fine. And yeah, this is great. This is, oh man, I've wanted one of these for so long. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. Appreciate you checking the video out, and hopefully you too can find one of these for a good deal.